Due to the declaration of emergency, this meeting is being held pursuant to authorization from the governor's executive order. All of the city council members are present and will be participating live. There's none will be doing teleconference as authorized by executive order N-29-20 issued by the governor of California on March 17th, 2020. Call to order. City Clerk.
Mayor Hodge,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Romero,
Here.
Councilmember Arriola Fernandez,
Here.
Councilmember Risen, Councilmember Pacheco.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Okay, very good. So, welcome to the Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority. We will be conducting today's meeting in various ways. Council members, City Manager Dale, City Clerk and staff are all present in council chambers, and everyone is practicing appropriate social distancing. The public is encouraged to participate via Community Spectrum at www.communityspectrum.org or via GoToMeeting as per the instructions provided with the posted agenda, and which you may find on the city's website at www.calexico.ca.gov and selecting the Agendas tab on the left-hand side of the page. We've had roll call. Now will we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I will lead you. Please begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Continue standing. Mr. Dale, will you be nice enough to lead us in the mission statement of the pledge? Together.
Provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Mayor Pro Tem, will you do the honors for the invocation?
Señor, te queremos dar las gracias esta tarde, Padre, de poder estar aquí. Te pedimos que ahorita cubras a todos con tu protección y tu sanación, que los mantengas a todos en casa, que practiquen sus distancias, Padre. También te pedimos de esa misma manera que todas las acciones que se tomen hoy sean en tu honra y en tu gloria, Señor, y por eso te damos las gracias. En el nombre de Jesús te agradecemos todo lo que haces por nosotros, Rey. Amén.
Amen. All right. May be seated. How are you today, Mr. City Attorney? Do you hear me? Are there any closed session announcements? Mr. City Attorney, Mr. Campos, are there any closed session announcements? Huh? Oh. Oh my God.
It's a little backtracking.
Any closed session announcements, City Attorney? No.
No reportable actions.
Okay, very good. Is there approval of tonight's agenda? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second. Second by Councilwoman Fernandez. City Clerk, will you please do a roll call?
Mayor Hodge,
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Romero,
Aye.
Councilmember Arriola Fernandez,
Yes. Here.
Councilmember Risen, Councilmember Pacheco.
Aye.
Okay. City Clerk, announcements? Or you want me to do it?
These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community office hours with Mayor Hodge have been suspended due to COVID-19. Community office hours will resume on May 26, 2020 from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at City Hall and City Manager's Conference Room, 608 Heber Avenue, Calexico.
All right, very good. We will now transition to public comments and public appearances. City Clerk, do we have any public comments today?
No, sir, we do not.
All right, then we will move forward. It's time for City Council comments and reports of meetings attended. I can start on my right. Councilwoman Fernandez, any City Council comments?
No, I just want to thank everybody for participating and with the safety. I just want to thank the staff
Thank
for
you.
continuing, and of course, administration to continue looking out for the safety of our employees and everybody else in our city. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I just wanted to thank gentleman named Juan Carlos, who is the owner of the Vault LLC, which will be an up-and-coming store once the COVID is done here, who by, as a favor, he actually was able to donate KN95's masks to both our fire department and our police department, which they already received today.
Excellent.
And with that being said, also, I know right now one of the biggest issues during COVID, on top of social distancing and keeping our safety precautions, is that we haven't really done anything for the seniors, which is probably one of the biggest communities we have here right now. That I'm not saying that we haven't done anything, it's just that I haven't been able to help out. So with that being said, as starting Monday of next week, myself, Mayor Pro Tem Romero, alongside 3 of my commissioners, Bruno Suarez, Orlando Espino, and Alex Hernandez, will start putting together a list. If you know of any seniors who are in need of help, whether it be cleaning their house, whether it be getting groceries for them, whether it just be any type of work or help that they need, please feel free to contact me directly. I don't know how that would go, City Clerk, where they called me personally, maybe shoot an email to you. We can work that out for them. If there's people in our senior community that need help, we're going to start that program as of next Monday.
Excellent.
And I would invite, if any council members are able to help,
like to participate.
definitely help participate and just try to take care of our seniors and the people most at need during this dire situation here that everybody's going through. So with that being said, please feel free to contact me. Some of you already have me on social media. Please feel free to reach out there as well, or please feel free to contact me here directly through City Hall. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Reisen.
At this point, I have no comment.
All right. Councilman Pacheco.
No, none, just let's continue to keep our distances and wear our masks and continue to follow federal, state, and county recommendations and the guidelines. So I think we're adhering to that, so we should be okay.
Yes, and we are doing that. I have a couple of items real quick. One is to piggyback on Mayor Pro Tem's being proactive for seniors. Rose's Plain, is that Plain Restaurant? Is that the proper title?
Rosa's
Rose's
Food.
Plain. They are now making personal deliveries to seniors for their food. So we thank them for stepping up in the community. I was asked to mention, in spite of COVID-19, we still have other important issues to attend to. And one of the most important issues is the census. It is now time to complete the census through online, telephone, or paper survey. So please do so. It's not too late. We've just started April 1st. And don't worry, it is confidential. There are no questions on citizenship. And it's an easy 9-question survey. So please pay attention and do the census. It's very important for, in the future, financial resources and proper representation. And another item is, we did our first video production called Calexico Community Updates. The presentation was good and well received. We had over 1,200 views. Tomorrow, the second episode will air in late afternoon, and you can see it through the fire department Facebook, city Facebook, and the city website. So we hope you can join us in the latest updates on the coronavirus. That's it for councilman comments. And we have now time for city manager's report. Mr. Dale, anything to say today?
We did, engineering did finally finish or wrap up the draft plans for the next street project. So we're still busy working on that. That should go to bid fairly soon.
Okay.
That's good, so it's another project for the city. And, that's all I have to report at this moment. So
Okay.
defer to,
Mr. Figueroa?
Mr. Figueroa, sorry to interrupt you. Before I interrupt, does he need the microphone for the rest of the community can hear? Sorry about that. Just, if you can just come up to the microphone, please. Apologize for that.
All right, Mr. Figueroa?
Yeah, I just want to mention that given the current situation that we're all living, on the administrative side, when it comes to building permits, when it comes to other services that some of our key departments offer, we continue to do so. We continue to process projects. We continue to work on
Absolutely.
all the needed work with outside agencies that help us move projects along. So I just want to remind not only the council, but the community, that we are open for business in a different way, but we continue to move things along.
Yes, very good. I'm glad you repeated that important information, Mr. Figueroa. Okay, that concludes the manager's report. Let's see here. Now it's time for the consent agenda. We only have 2 items. Permit me to read them. It's approval of the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, Calexico Financing Authority minutes for meetings of March 18th, 2020. And one I'd like to state here is the second one is the National Library Week proclamation for April 19th to the 25th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So move.
So moved by Councilman
Second.
Pacheco, second by Councilman Risen. All right, we have a motion and a second. City Clerk, will you now conduct a roll call vote?
Mayor Hodge,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Romero,
Aye.
Councilmember Arreola Fernandez,
Here. Right.
Councilmember Risen,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Aye.
Okay, we have, it's unanimous, so the consent agenda passes. All right, now it's time for discussion and potential action items. Motion passes on the consent. And we have our first item, item number 4, pertains to 2019-2020 third quarter budget status report, 5-year general fund projection, and adoption of proposed budget amendment. So the floor is yours, Finance Director Carlos Lovatos. You will be presenting a presentation, correct? Yes. Okay.
Good evening, council members, community. This is our third quarter report, just in line as we have been doing first, second. This is our third quarter report and a final on 18-19. This is 18-19 is just as a reference for you. So we're gonna go through. Okay. So the objectives for tonight is to have an update on 1920 revenues, update on 1920 expenditures, and a projected 1920 ending fund balance as of June 30th of 2020. That looks good, Kevin. It's a little off, but that's okay. So for general fund budget and the net of internal changes, we had initially budgeted to be at 784,407 as an beginning fund balance. We're proposing changes for 97,511, and I'll go through the detail on the 97,000. And at this point, we're projecting to end with a working capital of $686,897. And this is for 1920. This is the year we're ending on June. So at this point, we're still trending to have a surplus or revenue. And we'll go through, again, the details. Now, for our revenues, on the third quarter, we would like to make an amendment on our property tax. That is an increase of $100,000. Sales tax, $150,000. Rents and concessions, $60,000, and transfers from Measure H, $100,000. This is all good news. As of now, this is what we're projecting based on some of our consultants providing us information. So as of now, this is all the good news. Now, with this COVID-19, the virus impact, we will have some negative impact on our revenues. We're projecting on our business license to have about $50,000. The majority of the business license have already been processed, so at this point we're only estimating to have a $50,000 impact on our business license. Our cannabis tax, $80,000. Transient occupancy tax, or TOT, $45,000 due to most of our hotels being closed right now. Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center, $1,800. Police Department, fees, citations, parking, and some of their other services, $165,000. And a lot of this has to do with the SRO program. Since the school is closed and they're not going back as of the end of this calendar or school year, we're assuming that loss of revenue. Fire inspection fees, $25,000, and last community development program fees, $9,487. We're still, as Mr. Figueroa mentioned, we're still working. Most of our departments are still working. We're still providing the services. It's just at a slower pace because most places need to be closed, and due to the social distancing and just having essential services. So it'll have an impact. It's just not as tough as we thought it would be. And again, on our sales tax, even though we are projecting to have a decrease on our sales tax for the next 3 months, that would be April, May, and June. We had an extremely good season for the second quarter for us, which is the October to December. So had we not had this COVID-19, we would probably be at a much higher rate. Unfortunately, this is the situation, so we are assuming a loss in the next 3 months. But again, even with that, we still have a surplus on or an increase on our sales tax. So this will have a net impact to revenues of $32,000. It's not much. And this is a positive impact, it's not negative. Even with us assuming the loss of some revenues, it's still good news. We're still trending to meet our budget. So now on the expenditures, we have considered the impact of our 2% COLA. Overall is $52,000. We have some position changes for the Community Development Department, for the Finance Department. This all comes out to $61,000. our contribution to the CFD, which is Grand Plaza, it's $82,000, and transfer to Ibeca, $19,000. This is all an increase on expenditures of $162,000. And we have a comparison last year to this year. We started this year with an adopted budget of revenues of $16 million, $16,252,326. We're updating as a positive 32,813 to have an adjusted budget as of the end of the third quarter for $16,285,139. An amendment to salaries and benefits, we started with $9,149,490. We're increasing our expenses by $61,000 to end up with an adjusted budget of $9,210,687. Our operating cost increased from $7,464,259 to $7,565,545. Increasing our expenditures from $16,578,018 to $16,776,232. Our net operating results at the end of this fiscal year will go from $261,424 to $491,094. This is just the net operating result. If we look at our fund balance, we had started our year with $1.1 million. We will still have that was our beginning working capital, assuming in our budget a $361,000 operating result as a negative. We would still end up the year with $784,000. At this point, we are ending our fiscal year. We're projecting to end our year with $686,000 with revenues over expenditures. This is still good news, not as good as we thought it was going to be, but still we have a positive.
A lot of things out of our control anyway.
Exactly. And again, had we not been in the situation we're in, which is completely outside of our control, we would be in a much better situation. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, we have to take some decreases in our revenues. Our expenditures are still where they're at. But even at this point, we have good news. We still have revenues over expenditures. This is a surplus at the end of this fiscal year. That doesn't mean we can go in and spend all the money. We still need to be cautious on our expenses. But if we continue the way we're trending, we will have a surplus at the end of this fiscal year.
I think, Mr. Dale, for all practical purposes, we have canceled negotiations because of our situation, and we don't know what revenues would be coming in, and we don't know what to expect. But even though we are in a safe area with a reserve, we really can't promise much. So for all practical purposes, we are slowing down and canceling negotiations, I think.
No, it's going to the podium.
Well, till this situation clears up.
Yes, that's true, Councilman Pacheco. However, there are some MOUs that are expiring after June 30th that we may need to address those situations. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Very good, and
So,
go ahead.
okay, moving along. This is, as I presented in the past, this is a graph showing a comparison between December 2018 to December of 2019. This is the most recent and most updated information in our sales tax. As you can clearly see, fiscal year 2019, or up until December of 2019, we were doing much better on most of our sales tax per industry. So again, this is one of the reasons why our revenues have not decreased as much, because we had a fantastic first and second quarter of 2019. This is just a sales tax percentage. This is another graph just to show you where most of our sales tax are coming from. As you can see, the majority is general consumer goods. Again, we will have an impact coming the last quarter of this fiscal year. And we're even considering a worst case scenario, and I think we're still projecting to be okay at the end of this fiscal year. Now, I would like to show you a graph with our long-term cost obligations. This is, as you can see, we started 17-18 with or retiring medical unfunded liabilities. At this point, this is for you to make a decision, maybe for the next fiscal year, on how we want to, if we continue this trend of having surplus, maybe start paying some of our unfunded liabilities, maybe funding or CalPERS, paying JPI retrospective charges, and all of this is taking us out of our debt and start making progress, or we start funding some of our unfunded liabilities. So now we have something that we've been trying to do for a while, and this is a 5-year projection on the next, starting on 1920 all the way to 2025. We're projecting, we're being really conservative. We're assuming a 2% increase every year starting on 21-22. Again, this is a very conservative approach. We're just trying to start planning into the future as opposed to just going year to year. We would like to start moving ahead and projecting out where we would like to be and what we would like to do and where we want our city to go. So this is just, again, this is just a projection. It's an estimation of where our revenues and our expenditures could be in the next 5 years. And based on this, we could start making long-term planning on what we would like to do if we have the surpluses that we're assuming. Maybe, again, start paying some of our debt, long-term debt, start paying some of our unfunded liabilities, start funding some of our unfunded liabilities. So this is just an option for you to start thinking about, and I mean, we don't need to make a decision now, but this is some information for you to start planning, and we're in the still planning phases, so this is some good information for you to review. This is we on our next slide. That's what we have. So again, this is a projection of our fund balance, and we start seeing that we have some surplus in the next few years. And at this point, we're targeting 1 month reserve of expenses. That's $1.5 million. We would be able to be there on year 5 if we start planning and we continue preserving some of our capital to do some of the long-term planning. Again, this would be our goal, but this is for you to decide where you would like to be. So again, we're on the planning phase. All of these can change. We can take direction from you, and you can give us direction on what you would like to see, and we can start making some financial models for you to see where we would be if we were to change some of these expenses and some of these items.
So just, Mr. Mayor, Council, I do want to compliment some of the items that Ms. Lovatos has touched on the past 3 slides. And that is that we obviously are seeing the impact of COVID-19 on our finances. However, I do want to mention something. Before March, February, when this started to pick up, we had a number of projects that were presented to you. Some of them in the planning stage, some of them in the implementation stage. Unfortunately, because of this pandemic, we haven't been able to be out there and do some ribbon cuttings. But we actually have had businesses open. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that the economic development strategy which we've made clear at this point right now is not the ultimate solution, because there are many other things that have to be fixed within our procedures to be up to par where we need to be as a city on the operational side. But a lot of those efforts are the ones that are beginning to allow us to not only have a conservative approach in the long-term projections that our finance director is showing, but we are not accounting for a lot of the revenues that will be added with a lot of the projects that we have been presenting and talking about.
It's conservative approach.
Exactly. That is something that we are going to continue to preach, which is a conservative strategy when it comes to our finances. But I do want to stress that the foundation that this city council has, in a way, given us in terms of positioning ourselves to attract investment is paying dividends. We have a brand new state-of-the-art distribution facility about to open within the next days over in Town Center, which is FedEx. We had Dollar General, as we talked about last year, opening in March. They opened in March, as we discussed. We just had a conversation this morning in which the largest housing development project outside of affordable housing, I want to make this clear, outside of affordable housing, of which of those we have right now a handful in the works. Outside of that, the largest one that this city hasn't seen for the past 2 decades continues to move forward. And once better times come around and we continue to make progress, we will provide you a presentation on where that project's at, because that not only leaves revenue on the property tax side, but it injects money on our educational agency side as well, which is something that we know is needed as well. So I do want to reiterate that this is a positive report that you're seeing. It's tangible. We can actually go and know where every projected dollar is and where it stems from, which is something that provides accountability, which is what the residents and the community as a whole and you as a council have been asking for. So there's a lot behind the humble and conservative presentation by Ms. Lovatos that has occurred to get to this point.
Well,
Thank you.
I'd like to commend you and your staff, because physically, how you have this laid out, it has a lot of clarity, and it's comprehensive, and it's easy to understand, so thank you.
Thank you. So, and this completes my presentation. If you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Council members, any further questions?
I'm just glad that we're not going to be in a more dire position after, the whole COVID situation.
Right.
We're still looking, it's still looking pretty promising. I still have a feeling that some of those numbers are still being pretty conservative, which they can probably even be much better. But obviously,
That is
right now, we
correct.
don't want to over promise and under deliver, because
That
it would
is
not be correct, and we don't know still what are the upcoming effects of the COVID if it extends. It takes a turn for the worse.
Still uncertain.
It's still uncertain. So, even with all those things, looking to where we're looking, I think, we're in the right path. And like Mr. Director Figueroa was mentioning, businesses are still opening. There's a couple of other cannabis businesses that are still going to open as well, since they are deemed essential. There's other projects that are still going on. So I feel that, we're definitely in the right pace. And once we're out of this, once I think everybody's out of this situation, we're definitely going to be going full steam forward. So thank you, Mrs. Lovatos.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anyone else? Council member, a
No, I
comment
just
or
want
a
to
question?
thank her for the wonderful work she's doing.
Okay.
Ms. Lovato, the SRO the school is closed, so that individual is still working now on a regular shift, I believe. So he's
That
not-
is correct. He's
not
still
assisting
working.
the
He's not
schools
assisting
anymore.
the school.
So we're picking up the tab for his salary right now.
That is
Yes,
correct.
So
We were being reimbursed for his salary by the school district at this point, since he's not providing services to the school district due to the closure. He's still working. He is now patrolling on a regular shift. So that's why we're assuming the loss of that revenue.
does this put a cringe in our hiring for more PD? Is that
I
not,
I
part of
don't
our
believe
budget.
so.
not,
No.
No? City manager? Okay.
Okay.
Councilman
No.
Rison?
Very clear, everything very clear.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's
Thank you.
good to, it's good to hear that we'll have a surplus, even though we're in dire.
Yeah.
And, right.
The county, the state, the nation is really in the same boat, and we're really lucky to be providing at least a surplus for
That's
our,
correct.
for our
That's correct.
citizens. So we'll take it from there.
City manager Dale?
Yes, I'd just like to add to Assistant City Manager Figueroa's comments and Ms. Lovato's. That I mentioned this in our department head meeting. We really were uniquely prepared for this. Why were we? Because we had been going through basically financial straits for the last 3 to 4 years and overcoming them. So we're already lean and mean as it were. And so that's one of the reasons why you're seeing the numbers as you're seeing, because of the work staff, department heads have been doing 2 jobs. We're already there. So that's why we're able to overcome this.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is just a report, right? We don't-
Yeah. Well, there are amendments. Is there a motion on this? Okay. So we do have to vote on this, correct, city clerk? Okay.
Just approve? Vote to approve.
Well, because within the report are amendments.
Okay.
So, do we have a motion to adopt the budget amendment resolution?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Fernandez. The motion is made. All right. City Clerk, will you now conduct a roll call vote?
Mayor Hodge,
Aye?
Mayor Pro Tem Romero,
Aye.
Councilmember Arreola Fernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Risen, Councilmember Pacheco,
Aye.
All right, very good. The motion passes unanimously. Now it's time for the 2018-19 audited financial statements. And Mrs. Lovatos, before we introduce Mr. Ken Pun, did you have any words to say about this? No? Yes? Okay.
Yes, I would like to comment that, to start with, we're presenting you the 2018-19 financials about 6 months ahead of what we did last year. So this
Excellent.
was a fantastic job by not only the PUN group, but also the finance staff. They did a wonderful job. Again, we're presenting ahead of time. These financials were completed on March 31st, which was still on time, or maybe April 1st. Still on time. It's we're supposed to finish by the 9th month after the end of the fiscal year. That would be the end of March. And we're still making progress. The plan is to have them much sooner for the next fiscal year. So we're working on it. We're improving processes. Things are improving in the finance department, and we made a great team with the PUN group.
Yeah.
So things are moving along very well. So
We have
thank you to
definitely
the
come
PUN
a
group.
long
Thank
way.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now it's time to introduce Mr. Ken Pun. Mr. Ken Pun will be providing his presentation remotely via GoToMeeting. Are we ready?
Yes, can you see my presentation here?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, and good evening, Mayor and member of the City Council. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity here tonight to present your financial statement. As Colin said, this year we complete the audit a lot earlier than prior year.
Wonder why.
Which also within our timeline, even given the situation that we are currently dealing with the COVID-19 shelter-in-place order. So a couple of the things that I would like to do is pretty much as what we used to do is to present to you the 30,000-foot highlight of what we did and your audit results for 2019. So a couple of things not least is to deliver our audit results to you. So the scope of work. The city engaged the Ping Group to perform a couple of things. One is the audit of the basic financial statement. So basically, in the basic financial statement, you do see two reports. One is the report on financial statement, which is our opinion on these financial statements. And then because the audit was completed in accordance with the government auditing standard, we are also required to issue a report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance in accordance with government auditing standard. The city did expend more than $750,000 in federal expenditure, so basically the single audit is coming along with the financial statement. We also did issue the report on compliance over major federal programs, internal control over compliance in accordance with the 2 CFR 200 and the schedule of expenditure of federal awards. Also, a couple things, the TDA, you do have Article 3 and Article 8E. So we did actually perform a compliance audit on the TDA financial statement, and then issue the report on compliance, and last but not least is the agreed upon procedures on the appropriation limit, which is what we call the GAN limit. But tonight, in front of you is actually the main part is the audit of the basic financial statement. So the audit responsibility, I'll just quickly go through that. As mentioned yourself, you are fully responsible for these financial statements. By presenting these financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the United States of America. Since the city is a state local government, the Governmental Accounting Standard Board is the standard setting bodies for state local government, which the city actually follows that principle. You also adopt sound accounting policy. Very importantly, you establish and maintain proper internal control over financial reporting and compliance, provide evidence supporting to the amount and the disclosure in the financial statement, and last but not least, you do need to have programs to prevent and detect fraud. Our responsibility is to perform the audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, which is the minimum requirements, and then also the standard applicable to financial audit contained in government auditing standard. I'm here to communicate to you because the city council is what we deem called those charged with governance. We assess the audit risk of internal control. We determine the fairness presentation of these financial statements, and last but not least is to render our audit opinion. Just give you a brief overview of the financial statement. The financial section is exactly what we focus on during the whole entire audit, which include the independent auditor's report, which is our opinion. Our main focus is the basic financial statement. The basic financial statement actually has a couple pieces in there. The government-wide financial statement, which is the consolidated financial statement of the city. So we actually cover the period from July 1st of 2018 to June 30, 2019. So the government-wide present to you basically break it down into governmental activities, which covers all the governmental funds, the general fund, the special revenue fund, the debt service fund, the capital project fund, and consolidate all the internal control, internal service fund in the governmental activities. And then remaining, the business type activities is all the enterprise fund that you have. The fund financial statement is exactly what you do on the day, based on the day-to-day basis, basically include the fund individually. The general fund, special revenue fund, debt service fund, capital project fund. So basically you can see the fund individually in the fund financial statement. The notes to the basic financial statement basically include all the required information that's required by generally accepted accounting principle, which include the reporting entity, the summary of accounting policy, some of the detailed footnotes such as the cash investment, capital assets, long-term debt, pension, OPEB information are all detailed disclosed in the notes to the basic financial statement. The required supplementary information is required by GASB 34, which adopted almost like 18 years ago. Even this is an unaudited information, but those information are basically relating to the information from the financial statement, which includes the budgetary information. So you can see the budget and actual document, like budget and actual for the general fund. You can also see the schedule of changes in proportionate share of the net pension liabilities and related ratios, the schedule of contribution, and then also the schedule for other post-employment benefit. In the supplementary information, you also see the non-major fund information, so that you all break it down in the supplementary information. So now it's coming down to the numbers. So for the government-wide financial statement, as I said earlier, this is a consolidated financial statement as a whole. So basically break it down by governmental activities and business type activities. This is the statement of net position, which is a point-in-time financial statement as of June 30, 2019. As of June 30, 2019, you do have a total asset of $207 million, total liabilities $114 million, resulting in the net position of about like $97.4 million. As you can see, you also have the deferred outflow of resources and deferred inflow of resources. Those are the elements that were actually being determined by your actuaries regarding the pension accounting and other post-employment benefit accounting. So those are the items that are not being used in the current year and are sitting on the balance sheet as of June 30, 2019. So the deferred outflow of resources is $6.1 million. The deferred inflow of resources is $1.3 million. These two numbers will be amortized in the future and will be accounted for as either the pension expense or the OPEB expense in the future. At June 30, 2019, total net position was $97 million, of which $68.2 million is net investment in capital asset, which is Gatsby did a pretty great job in carving out that one line item, because capital asset is deemed to be long-term, and at the city, normally this is not easily to convert into in cash so that you can use it for operation. So the city also had about like $49.5 million restricted by third-party or enabling legislation, resulting in an unrestricted deficit of about like $20.3 million. As you recall, back in 2000, a couple years ago, like 2015, when Gatsby 68, the pension standard, and then also back in 2018, when the OPEB standard came into effective, all these liabilities are recorded on the face of the financial statement. That's why you see the unrestricted net position of a deficit of $44 million being recorded on your governmental activities, which is basically the recording of those two gigantic liabilities as of June 30, 2019. So let's take a look at the income statement for the year. So for the fiscal year end, June 30, 2019, total expenses was about like $36.4 million. Program revenue, which are the revenue that you can generate from either charging the user for a fee, as of like for the fiscal year, there's about like close to $19 million, or the program can be subsidized by grant program, which you have the operating grants of about like $2 million, and then also the capital grants for about like $9.8 million. So the net cost of service becomes like $5.6 million. So like these $5.6 million is actually covered by your general revenue, which is majority of the general revenue are either the tax revenue and investment earnings. So for the fiscal year end, June 30, 2019, you do have about like $16.6 million, resulting in an increase in net position of about like $11 million, which is a really, really great result compared to the prior, to all the prior fiscal year. General fund is the main operating fund of the city, so we pull that out separately so that you can take a look at it. So total assets million. As you can see, there is a advance from other funds of about like $1.4 million, which determines to be long term. So that's why you can see the fund balance, total fund balance is in a deficit position of $263,000. $57,000 is recorded as non-spendable because the city actually did pay for it during the fiscal year as prepaid expense or inventory. So the unassigned fund balance is resolved to be a $321,000 deficit. However, as you can see, your fund balance has significantly improved because of the current fiscal year operations. The revenue for the general fund is $18.5 million. Total current expenditure is about like $16.6 million. So that's why for the current fiscal year, operating surplus is close to it's a little over $1.9 million. We also do transfer out to subsidize some other programs of about like $120,000, resulting in a net increase in general fund balance of $1.5 million. The key indicators, key pension information, and OPEB information. So a couple of the announcements that I actually did make some adjustment, because this fiscal year, you do actually have a big capital grant and contribution coming into play. So the net cost of service for the governmental activities because of the capital grant received, so it netted to $4.3 million. Assuming this capital grant is all one-time deal, and most of the capital grant, all those expenditure capitalizing on the financial statement. So when we calculate this ratio, I need to take into consideration of those capital grant is not a basis. So the adjusted net cost of service is about like $14.5 million. Compared to tax revenue, is $14.7 million. So you're coming about to a break-even ratio at 98.63%. Kudos to the city because this ratio, and I have been watching for all these years, you have actually, this is really the first time I see the ratio has dropped below 100%. Also, take a look at the unassigned fund balance to the annual expenditure. One of the things that we need to consider is the long-term advances. So your unassigned fund balance as of June 30, 2019 for the general fund was a negative $321,000. We also need to adjust the long-term advances because it is a long-term payable. So the total available fund balance will be $1.1 million compared to your annual expenditure, $16.6 million. Now you are building up a little bit of your reserve. The other thing that I need to mention is the pension standard and the OPEB standard. The next slide is we are focusing on pension. As you're aware, pension accounting is purely based on estimate. So CalPERS actually every year they perform the valuation. As of June 30, 2019, CalPERS actually valued that total asset as of June 30, 2017, and then also roll forward to 2018. So basically, the valuation was lapsed for about like 2 years. So keep that in mind. So as of June 30, 2019, the city actually did record a total net pension liabilities of about like $25.7 million. $11.6 million is for the miscellaneous plan, and for the safety plan, it was about like $14.1 million. So one of the great things that GASB has done as a required disclosure is to provide the reader about what if there is a 1% difference with the discount rate. So as of June 30, 2018, the measurement date, if the expected long-term rate of return can actually earn more to 8%, your liabilities can go down to 13%. However, return did not meet the 7% and needs to drop it to 6%, your liabilities can go up to $40 million. So which is about like $14 million more than what you record on the financial statement. So currently, your funded ratio for the portfolio plan was 77% and 73% for the miscellaneous and safety plan respectively. The other item is the OPEB standard. Also, the OPEB standard, you have total control of when you perform your evaluation. So the last valuation was actually done as of June 30, 2018, and we rolled forward the amount to June 30, 2019. Since the city is using as what we call the pay-as-you-go method, so the city is actually recording your total OPEB liabilities on the face of the financial statement, so which is $33.8 million as a liability. So if the discount rate dropped by 1%, your liabilities can go up to $39 million. But if the if the discount rate goes up, the amount can drop it to $29.3 million. Because it is a pay-as-you-go, so your funding status is still at 0%. Other results for the financial statement audit, we are very happy to deliver an unmodified opinion for all opinions given, which state that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respect, the accounting policy has been consistently applied, the estimates are reasonable, and the disclosure are properly reflected in the financial statement. Also, we do not have any disagreement with management, and also this, as I recall, this is the first time from the last couple of years, there is no significant deficiency and material weaknesses in internal control, full financial reporting, and compliance are reported. There is no accounting issues, and no material fraudulent activities were discovered. So that concludes my presentation today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, thank you so much. Very thorough.
Very, very good.
Okay, I still need to remember, are there any, city clerk, are there any public comments on this? No. All right, let's go to city council members. Any questions or statements?
I just find it to be amazing, the great job that everyone is doing. I mean, it's black and white, that's how I could see it.
This is what we send to the state, right? And they're just gonna be like, I just wanted to put that on the record. It's amazing. Thank you, Mr. Pun. Appreciate your work, appreciate you helping, working side by side with Director Lovatos and the rest of the management staff. And I think this is just great news. I mean, amid the situation we're in right now, the fact that you were able, there's a Mexican saying that goes, papelito habla. And I think this, the proof is in the pudding. So we can definitely start showing our constituents that, we're being fiscally responsible, and that we're, trying to keep everything on top and moving ahead.
Councilman Risen, any comments or questions?
I wasn't here, but it was like
Okay. Councilman Check.
Well, one thing, we were at least 6 months ahead of our last audit, and that's good. That means that we're keeping up with our paperwork and with our responsibilities, and it makes it a lot easier for Mr. Pund and his group when he comes down and working hand in hand. I think that says a lot for our departments, and thank you, Mr. Pund, for doing the audit for us again. Thank you for a positive report.
Thank you, Mr. Pun. Excellent compilation of all this material and information, straightforward. Appreciate that. And I would just like to highly thank everybody, management, finance director and department, all the departments, and our city council for keeping our heads up and being focused and moving forward and really, really turning the corner on so many different areas. We are in a better position than we ever have been, students. Thank you.
We were on track.
And we are on track. We are on steady course, continue to be on steady course. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we have to vote on this. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second by my Councilman Rising.
All right, very good. All those, we need a roll call vote. City Clerk?
Mayor Hodge,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Romero,
Aye.
Councilmember Arriola Fernandez, Councilmember Risen, Councilmember Pacheco.
Aye.
It passes unanimously, as it should. Excellent work. Excellent accomplishment. Thank you very much. Now, that ends our discussed items and action items. Now we come to the end of the evening. Future agenda items. Are there any? Councilwoman Fernandez, any
I
future
don't
agenda?
have anything at this time. Thank
We
you.
don't want to put too much on their plate right now. Mayor Pro Tem?
No, I just had a couple of local business owners come up to me that, they want to start like painting out walls and painting out, baseball fields. Some of them have already done it with no prior permission. So I know right now commissions are not meeting. What would be the type of direction we would have to take with that? I don't know if maybe Mr. Dale can answer that, or if, I don't know if Mr. Campos is still on the conference call, just to see where we can go, especially taking advantage right now of social distancing and that they can probably properly do it with not so many people being out there. I just wanted to put it out there because, and they're willing to do it out of their own pocket, out of their own time, just to make Calexico look prettier. And
That's great.
hopefully we can take some type of proper direction.
Should not say
do
no
this.
to that.
Send the proposals in and look at them. Okay, perfect. I'll inform
That's
them and I'll keep I'll keep the rest of the council and the management updated on that.
Okay, I don't have any future agenda items, so that concludes.
No, I'd just like to ask Mr. Dale,
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Pacheco.
Uh,
Councilman Pacheco.
our code enforcement, are we weak in that area? Do we have people driving around, checking up on issues and buildings and permits and?
We have two code enforcement officers right now, on and off, we have six here and there, but, we have two, and so we're full-time staff.
Good to hear. We're keeping the city clean and.
Motion to
All right. and
motion
I
to
don't
adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Either at this time. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. All right, all those, do we need to take a roll call vote? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Once again, excellent meeting.
Miguel.
Thank you, council members.